My name is Wang Jinlin, and this is my take on the Project 1. Now we're going to the agenda, and this is what I'm going to be talking about. The first question is, what is wrong in the economy? First of all, in this Excel, obviously there are a lot of problems with this Excel. First of all, the high interest rate from 4 to 5%. This encourage borrowing and investment, potentially slowing down the economic growth. So my aim is to lower the interest rate. Secondly is the high inflation. Thirdly is the low growth, and we can see that in the Excel at first it is growing very slow. So what does my party believe in? So I believe that when it's your money, you should be able to spend it and live your life and just spend it like however you want. And as a conservative prime minister, my budget will focus mostly on lowering taxes and reducing government spending, and obviously focusing mostly on fiscal policy. So in generally speaking, this is my 5 key points when it comes to so number 1 is taxes. Lowering taxes for individual, which means cutting personal income taxes. It will give people more money to spend. Lowering taxes for businesses, which is lowering corporate tax. It will help business to grow and create jobs. Secondly, spending and deficits. Obviously balancing the budget, because we're working towards one goal, which is reducing national debt. And then we're cutting any wasteful spending, making sure that we only focus on spending on things that matters rather than any unnecessary programs. Thirdly is economic growth and jobs, supporting important industries, like helping energy, natural resources, manufacturing, and technology grow, helping small businesses, making it easier for small businesses to grow, to start, and investing in infrastructure like the roads or transit. Fourth is cost of living. Important to lower the energy prices, so reduce costs for things like gas, electricity, making houses more affordable, creating policy that help making housing more affordable for people, and also adjusting GST, which is the tax. And then lastly is healthcare and social service, targeting social programs, so spending those who are in need, not just giving out, for example, $200 for every for everyone, but only focusing on the one who needs it. So why is it that I chose to fix the economy this way instead of another way? So as a conservative prime minister, I focus on fiscal policy, and the first thing is I reduced 10% on personal income taxes. 10% because based on my research, in real life research, I basically calculate the average of all of the provinces' personal income taxes, and I get a number around 9.29%, and I round it up to 10%. When I reduced the 10%, the unemployment rate already went down. Next up is corporate tax, and I also reduced it by 10%. The number I wanted to do was reduce it by 15%, because based on real life in my research is that in real life it is reduced by 15% for the first 375,000 of income. However, I can't put 15% in this Excel, so I only put 10%. So for the expenditures, I feel like I didn't do much, but I also on most of it I reduced by 10% only. When I did 10%, the comments I got are sick people died waiting for care, poor people and the unemployed are poor, and all of these comments. However, in my opinion, these are just 10% of the whole country, and I feel like 10% isn't a big deal when it comes to compared to the whole entire amount of people in the country. So I think 10% is an acceptable amount to be giving to be reducing. Despite all of my changes that I made, it says I didn't fix a recession, I lost the election, inflation's way too high, I grew deficit, I grew debt, which is all against everything that I'm trying to do as a conservative. However, looking at the inflation, mine is at 3.8%, which I feel like it's not that bad at all. What are the good and bad effects of this? The good effects is that the economic growth will increase with private sector investment. Second is it will lower unemployment due to the business expansion. And then inflation will stabilize as it will be from 0 to 5% only. The negative effects is that any people who has short-term jobs might lose in the public sector. It could potentially lead to a slower progress, especially in social programs. So who benefits and who lose? Well, in general, the winner, it really depends, but the winners in this, in my budget, is going to be private, mostly for investor businesses, because I lowered their taxes, middle income earners, and energy sector. Those who lost could be the public sector employments, so like short-term jobs, and then any departments on social benefits.